A money coach in Seattle once asked a room full of adults a question so simple it made people uncomfortable. Not because it was complicated, because it was precise. He said, if I asked you what you save in a year, some of you could probably give me a rough number. But if I asked what you save in a day, could you answer without guessing? Most people couldn't. So he gave them a formula. Take whatever you saved last year and divide it by 365. That number, he said, is your daily payment to your future life. For some people in the room, the answer was about $14 a day. For others, $6. A few landed around $25. Quite a few realized the number was actually zero. And some had a negative number because debt was expanding faster than savings. Then he asked them to think of the most financially secure person they actually knew in real life. Not a celebrity, not an influencer, someone they had met, maybe a neighbor who retired early, maybe a woman who quietly bought rental property over time, maybe an engineer who never looked flashy but somehow always had options, maybe a local business owner who built a calm, durable life. Now estimate what that person was likely setting aside each day during their building years. The answer was usually much bigger. Not because they were magical, not because they had some hidden secret, but because during the years that mattered, they were often paying their future self 120, 180, 250, sometimes even $400 a day. That gap explains more than people think. Not just talent, not just salary, not just luck. The daily amount you direct toward your future changes the trajectory of everything. That is why the daily frame is so powerful. Tell someone they need to save $48,000 a year, and the number sounds impossible. Tell them that same number is roughly $132 a day, and suddenly it feels different. Still difficult, yes, but not abstract, not monstrous, not impossible to picture. Same reality, different psychology. And that difference matters because most financial plans fail for emotional reasons, not mathematical ones. People create monthly budgets they stop following. They make yearly goals they forget by spring. They rely on motivation, and motivation disappears. The second life gets messy. Daily systems are different. Daily systems keep working when you're tired. They keep working when you're stressed. They keep working when the economy is strange, work is uncertain, or you just don't feel inspired. That's the idea behind this approach. Build wealth through small daily behavior, not occasional financial heroics. A coach I know turned that philosophy into a 5-part routine. None of the habits are dramatic. Together, they can change the direction of a life. The first habit happens in the morning. He calls it the 60-second scan. Before checking messages, before email, before social media, you open your main banking or finance app and look at 3 numbers: your available cash, your total debt, and your investments. That's all. No analysis, no financial pep talk, no spreadsheet, just observation. People underestimate this because it feels too simple, but daily observation changes the brain. What gets seen repeatedly gets treated as important. Money reviewed once a month feels distant. Money seen every day feels immediate. And once your financial reality feels immediate, your choices begin to shift. The takeout order at noon feels different after you looked at your debt balance at 7 a.m. The impulse purchase after work feels different when you've already seen your investment account that morning. The trade-off becomes visible. Many people avoid looking at their numbers because the numbers make them anxious, but avoidance becomes its own trap. They don't look because they feel behind. Because they don't look, the pattern continues. Because the pattern continues, the numbers get worse. Because the numbers get worse, they avoid even more. The morning scan breaks that loop. After a while, the numbers stop feeling like an accusation. They start feeling like information. And once information loses its emotional charge, it becomes useful. The second habit is where actual wealth starts accumulating. It's called first capture. Most people save what's left over. That is usually the wrong order. By the time the month ends, too much has already happened. Bills have hit, stress spending has happened, subscriptions have renewed, convenience has drained money quietly. So instead of hoping something remains, you move money to the future first. The method is simple. Create a separate account for savings or investing that is not part of daily spending. Set a tiny automatic transfer from checking into that account every single day, not monthly, daily. Start with something small enough to feel almost boring. $7 a day, $11 a day, $16 a day. People often resist a monthly transfer because it feels large. A transfer of $330 once a month is noticeable. A transfer of $11 a day barely gets attention. That is exactly why the daily version works. The emotional resistance stays low, but the math still accumulates. $11 a day becomes over $4,000 a year. $20 a day becomes $7,300. $30 a day becomes nearly $11,000. Those numbers stop looking small very quickly, and the repetition changes identity. After 10 days, you've paid your future self 10 times. After 100 days, 100 times. After a year, 365 times. You stop feeling like someone who is trying to save. You start becoming someone who always captures something. The third habit happens at the end of the day. It takes about 2 minutes. This one is called the evening spend check. At night, open your transactions and review only today, nothing older. Now, mentally sort each purchase into one of two categories: deliberate or reactive. Deliberate means planned, necessary, or chosen on purpose. Reactive means emotional, impulsive, or triggered. That's it. No guilt, no punishment, no dramatic promises, just notice. This works much better than monthly budget reviews because today is still emotionally fresh. If you review a coffee purchase from 3 weeks ago, you don't remember what was happening in your head. If you review a purchase from 3 hours ago, you probably do. You remember whether you were tired, annoyed, bored, lonely, scrolling, trying to reward yourself, trying to escape your day. Within a week or two, patterns begin to appear. Some people spend reactively after stressful meetings. Some spend at night when the day feels empty. Some spend after seeing other people's lives online. Some spend when they feel they deserve something. Once you see the trigger, you can solve the trigger. That is why awareness works better than vague restriction. Restriction says, stop spending. Awareness asks, why did this happen? That question changes everything. The fourth habit looks less like finance and more like career strategy and harvesting, but it may be one of the most profitable. Every day, spend 15 minutes increasing your earning power. Not once in a while, not just when you feel ambitious. Every day. That might mean learning a technical skill, improving communication, reading about your industry, studying negotiation, understanding management, practicing sales, sharpening writing, deepening your expertise. 15 minutes sounds tiny, but over a year, that becomes more than 90 hours. Over a decade, it becomes close to 1,000 hours. Now imagine two people who begin in similar jobs. One spends all their non-work attention on passive entertainment. The other consistently spends 15 minutes becoming more useful. 5 or 10 years later, they are not competing from the same level anymore. The second person is more adaptable, more confident, more promotable, more valuable to employers and clients, more capable of earning from more than one source. That is how income paths split quietly, not overnight, daily. The fifth habit ties the others together. It takes about 3 minutes before bed. This one is called tomorrow design. Before sleeping, ask, what spending choice will probably show up tomorrow? Where am I likely to get triggered? What exactly will I do instead? What will I study during my 15-minute learning block? This matters because vague intention is weak. I should do better tomorrow is almost useless. A real plan sounds like I'm bringing lunch, I'm skipping the after-work delivery order, I'm moving my daily transfer before checking anything else, I'm using my 15 minutes to study client communication. Specific decisions remove friction. Tomorrow becomes easier because you already made the hard part of the choice tonight. Now, put the system together. Morning, look at the 3 numbers. During the day, let the automatic transfer do its job. Evening, review spending. Learn for 15 minutes. Design tomorrow. Total daily time, about 23 minutes. That is not much, but the leverage is huge. This is why daily systems often outperform monthly and yearly financial plans. Monthly budgeting fails because the feedback loop is too slow. You live an entire month, then try to explain the results afterward. Yearly planning fails because life changes too fast. A plan made in January often feels outdated by April. Daily systems stay close to reality. If you miss one day, you restart the next. No collapse, no shame spiral, no need to get back on track in some dramatic way. Just continue. That makes the system durable. The best way to install it is gradually. Week 1, do only the 60-second scan. Week 2, add the daily transfer. Week 3, add the evening spend check. Week 4, add the 15-minute learning block. Week 5, add tomorrow design. That sequence matters. People often try to change everything in one burst of motivation. Then they burn out and quit. Slow installation looks less exciting, but it works better. Now let's talk numbers. Suppose you start with $16 a day in future capture. That becomes about $5,840 a year. At reasonable long-term growth, that can turn into meaningful money over time. Now imagine you gradually increase the amount as income rises. Maybe you move from $16 to $22, then to $28, then to $35. Without ever feeling like you made one huge, painful leap, you've created a serious long-term system. Now add the savings from reduced reactive spending. If your evening review prevents even $8 a day of unnecessary spending, that's almost $3,000 more per year that can stay in your life. Now add the value of better earning power from the learning block. At that point, you're no longer talking about a cute habit. You're talking about a machine. Over 15 or 20 years, a system like this can realistically produce hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional wealth for an ordinary person. For some people, much more. And the biggest change is not even the number. It is identity. At first, you feel like someone trying to get better with money. Then, after enough repetition, something shifts. You stop trying to become a person who builds wealth. You become one. And once that happens, decisions get easier. Because now the question changes from, can I get away with this, to, does this fit the kind of person I am becoming? That shift is powerful. It makes frugality feel cleaner. It makes investing feel natural. It makes progress feel less like hope and more like momentum. And right now, there's a major advantage that previous generations did not have. Technology has removed most of the friction. Automatic transfers are instant. The balances are visible in seconds. Learning tools are everywhere. Reminders can be automated. 20 years ago, daily money habits required much more effort. Today, the barrier is not access. It is hesitation that matters even more in uncertain times. The future feels unstable. Jobs are changing. Technology is moving fast. Prices are weird. Markets are unpredictable. Daily systems thrive in uncertainty because they do not require perfect forecasts. They do not need the future to be neat. They just need you to act today. A person with strong daily financial habits will continue building whether conditions feel easy or hard. There isn't a use or hard. So here is the smallest, useful first step. Do not wait until next month. Do not wait for a perfect moment. Do not redesign your entire life tonight. Set one reminder for tomorrow morning. Name it. Money Mint. When it goes off, look at your 3 numbers. That is enough to begin. Most people hearing an idea like this will do nothing. They will say it makes sense. They may even feel motivated for an hour. Then nothing changes. A smaller group will set the reminder. A year from now, those people will probably have more money, more clarity, and less chaos than the people who only liked the idea. 5 years from now, the difference will be obvious, not because the method is glamorous, because it is daily. 5 habits, 23 minutes. Repeated long enough to make staying broke much harder than it used to be. That is how people quietly move from stress to stability. And now that the system is in front of you, the only real question is whether you begin while the first step is still small enough to feel easy.